Hello, and welcome to this place called Earth. My name's James, and for the past several years, I've been on a journey that's completely changed everything I thought I knew about life, emotion, and what it all means. This video isn't just a fundraiser. It's a story about learning to rebuild a life from the ground up. It's about understanding the deep connection between language, emotion, and our nervous system, and how they shape the very essence of who we are. And it's about my hope to take this work further into formal scientific study. My career didn't start with people. It started with machines. I was an engineer, working in industries where precision was a matter of life and death. Defense, nuclear power, aerospace, and hydroacoustics. My job was to test and install incredibly complex systems. I checked every signal, every vibration, every waveform, making sure everything worked exactly as it should. Eventually, I was promoted to systems engineer, where I wrote specifications, managed teams, and verified the performance of critical technology. It was a world that was demanding, structured, and deeply logical. But over time, something began to shift in my perspective. I started to realize that the most complex systems I was encountering were, indeed, the machines we were building. They were the people running them. Human beings, I noticed, have feedback loops. We can experience overload, noise, and even breakdowns. But we also have these beautiful, intricate ways of finding balance. We are, in many ways, just like the engineering systems I spent my days with. And that single thought lodged itself in my mind and never really left. Then, in my late 30s, my life took a sharp, unexpected turn. I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2, autism, and ADHD. At first, it felt like the ground had just vanished beneath my feet. It was disorienting and scary. But over time, I started to see those diagnoses not as rigid definitions of who I was, but as data. They were information, a kind of user manual for how my specific nervous system and brain process the world. This new perspective made me pay attention in a way I never had before. I started listening to my own thoughts, to the tone of my voice, to the voices of others. I noticed how a single gentle word could calm my entire body, while a sharp phrase could set my whole system on edge, making my muscles tense and my heart race. I began to understand that language doesn't just describe our experience of the world, it actively creates it. Every word, every phrase, every sound has a physiological echo in our bodies. That insight sparked a question that I just couldn't ignore, so I decided to chase it. I enrolled in postgraduate psychology. I completed my first master's level module, and I absolutely loved it. The world of the human mind was fascinating. Then life happened again. A series of health challenges, followed by the UK's rigid and unforgiving funding system, forced me to step back from my studies. When I was ready to start again, I was told I couldn't get financial support because I had already started and left one course. But I wasn't going to let that stop me. If the system wouldn't let me in, I would teach myself. I bought the textbooks, I downloaded the lectures from top universities, and I studied late into the night every night. I immersed myself in cognition, emotion, linguistics, neurobiology, trauma, and regulation. And I didn't just learn it as theory, applied it as a daily practice. I treated myself as my own case study. What helps me? What harms me? What is actually happening in my body when I speak, when I listen, when I connect with another person? Those years of intense self-study and rebuilding my life became the foundation for a project I started called This Place Called Earth. It's a space online where I explore mental health, language, and the nervous system, and it's freely available to anyone who's curious about how we think, feel, and heal. And out of all that work, two connected frameworks started to emerge. I call them the mere linguistic hypothesis and nervous system language. At the heart of these ideas is something simple, yet incredibly powerful. The idea that the nonverbal parts of language, the tone, the rhythm, the emotional context directly on our nervous system, they influence how we feel, how we perceive the world, and how we relate to each other, often more than the words themselves. You experience this every single day. Think about a kind, soothing word that steadies your breathing when you're anxious, or a sharp, critical phrase that makes your chest tighten. Think of a song that can come on the radio and change your entire emotional state in just a few seconds. It's all signal. emotional signals, acoustic signals, and physiological signals all intertwined. This work opens up so many fascinating scientific questions. For example, can specific words or sounds produce measurable responses in our autonomic nervous system? Could we one day be able to physically scan for intent behind words? Can the tone of a voice completely override the meaning of the words being said when it comes to emotional processing? Do our learned emotional associations shape how our bodies physically react to certain sounds? And most importantly, can we learn to design communication that helps regulate and soothe our nervous systems instead of constantly overwhelming them? These aren't just abstract philosophical ideas, they are testable hypotheses. We can explore them using established psychophysiological measures like heart rate variability, skin conductance, EEG, brain scans, and acoustic mapping. This research could build a bridge between linguistics, neuroscience, and mental health in ways we've only just begun to imagine. But to do this work responsibly, to do it right, I need formal training. I need a research environment, mentors, and the incredible resources that a university can provide. So why Sweden? Over the past few years, I've spent a lot of time there, and every visit has felt different, calmer, clearer. The cultural values there really resonate with me. The focus on balance, well-being, and a genuine curiosity that crosses academic disciplines. My ultimate goal is to pursue a funded PhD in effective neuroscience or psycholinguistics. That isn't immediately possible. My plan is to study for a master's degree at Uppsala University, focusing on language, emotion, and cognition. Sweden's academic culture actively encourages the kind of exploration between psychology, linguistics, and physiology that my work needs to thrive. It's also a place where I hope to build a stable, long-term future for myself. This brings me to why I'm asking for your help. I've always worked incredibly hard to be independent. I've changed careers. I've built entire projects from nothing. I've taught myself new and complex disciplines, and I've funded everything I possibly could on my own. But pursuing higher education abroad comes with significant financial barriers: tuition fees, accommodation, travel, and living costs. This fundraiser is to help cover those tuition and living costs if I pursue the Master degree. It will allow me to focus entirely on my studies and research, not just on survival. If I am successful in gaining a funded PhD position, any support raised here will go directly toward continuing and expanding the work of this place called Earth. It will mean creating new educational content, new creative projects, and making new research avenues accessible to everyone for free. I promise to share updates with you as I go about the research, the journey itself, and everything we discover together. Because this isn't just my story. It's a journey of self-discovery that I believe is relevant to all of us. Just imagine for a moment what could emerge from this research. Language therapies that work through tone and rhythm, not just the meaning of words. AI models that are designed to understand emotional safety, not just semantics. Education systems that teach emotional literacy as fluently as they teach grammar. Imagine a world where we learn to speak to each other in ways that regulate and heal rather than trigger and harm. That is what I want to dedicate my life to. Building a solid scientific bridge between language, emotion, and the nervous system of science that is grounded in data, but always rooted in our shared humanity. So, that's where I am now. I'm standing at the edge of what's next, ready to take years of personal, independent work and bring it into the academic world, where it can be tested, challenged, refined, and ultimately shared with a much wider audience. If you feel moved to support this journey, whether it's through a donation, by sharing this campaign, or simply by following along, I want to say thank you. Every bit of encouragement, every message, and every contribution helps turn this idea into something real, something that can reach and hopefully help others. You can learn more and explore my existing work at this-place-called-earth.com. You can also find my project on YouTube by searching for at this-place-called-earth. Thank you for watching, and thank you for believing in the possibility of a more humane kind of science.